Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Undergraduate Pilot Training Graduation Class 2511. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Priscilla, Commander, 3rd Flight Training Squadron, training students in the mighty T-1 Jayhawk.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Kinnear, Commander, 8th Flying Training Squadron, training students in the mighty T-6 Texan II.
Today's ceremony is a once-in-a-lifetime event. We encourage you to come forward and take pictures or videos when your loved one is presented with an award or their winnings. For your planning purposes, the wings are presented by rank and in alphabetical order.
Please stand for the entrance of the official party. Remain standing for the national anthem of the United States, followed by the invocation by traffic down to the field.
If you choose, please join me in prayer or reflection according to your faith tradition. Let's pray. Almighty God, today I come to you to usher in the next generation of pilots who carry forward the long legacy of service and sacrifice for the greater good of humanity. God, before you today are those individuals who have faithfully and diligently honed their craft and sharpened their skills. They have faced many obstacles along the way and have overcome valiantly. They have sacrificed time with family, loved ones, and friends for the chance to serve our nation and protect our world. They have given everything, and now they have reached the finish line. And God, today we celebrate them. Behind each one of these pilots are commanders, instructors, and staff who have pushed them, pulled them along at times, and cheered them on to achieve great feats. They have been pillars of consistency and strength, commitment and dedication for these pilots over these many months. And I thank you for your hand in placing these leaders in that position. God, often sacrificing the greatest in our service are the spouses, children, family, and loved ones who have carried so much every day while faithfully standing by, supporting, cheering on, crying with, and celebrating as their member navigates this journey. They have often been in the background, in the unseen, and yet are the foundation for which these pilots have achieved and succeeded. God, I thank you for the strength and commitment you have provided them to endure this long journey. And God, as we proceed today, I pray that you provide these pilots and their families the endurance to withstand the journey ahead. May your favor and protection be over them as they carry our nation's flying legacy. And may you bless them and follow them as they move on to their next home and go on to serve our nation. I pray all this in your divine name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Quigley. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Today, 36 officers will receive their wings. On behalf of Colonel Charles Buckner IV, Commander of 71st Flying Training Wing, I would like to welcome the family and friends of Class 2511, as well as several members of Team Vance, including squadron commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, spouses, and our ASRC and emerging contractors.
We are honored to have the following guests from our civil and wing leadership here to support the graduates. The Mayor of the City of Enid, the Honorable Mr. David Mason. The City Manager of the City of Enid, the Honorable Gerald Gilbert. Commissioners of the City of Enid, the Honorable Frank Baker and his spouse Carmen, and the Honorable Cheryl Patterson. Representing the Command Chief, 71st Flying Training Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Alan Pickram. The Deputy Commander, 71st Flying Training Wing, Colonel Carl Miller III. Commander, 71st Operations Group, Colonel Eric Bissonette. Representing the Senior Enlisted Leader, 71st Operations Group, Master Sergeant Austin Wyman. Commander, 71st Mission Support Group, Colonel Nikita Little. The Senior Enlisted Leader, 71st Mission Support Group, Chief Master Sergeant Adam Bearcall. Commander, 71st Medical Group, Colonel John Laloma. We are also honored to have the following distinguished visitors as special guests of Class 2511. Please stand or wave your hand to be recognized. On behalf of Captain Ahmad Syed, Mr. Bilal Syed, Chief Financial Officer for the DC Superior Court, and his spouse, Mama.
We would also like to give a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Brigadier General Rudolph Texans, United States Air Force retired. And the Commander of 71st Flying Training Wing, Colonel Charles Buckner IV, and his spouse, Brooke. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Buckner.
All right, well, good morning. How's everyone doing? Welcome to our favorite day here in Enid, America. We try to give everybody a true Oklahoma experience, so I hope you enjoyed the light show last night. You know, some folks, they come and they graduate in the winter. We have snow and ice storms, and if you come in the summer, you're probably going to have a little bit of hail and rain and possibly a tornado, but we're glad everyone is here today, and we're glad everybody is safe as we got through that. Thank you for showing up in force. This is a venue change for us, just to make sure that we can accommodate all of you that are here to support your loved ones, and we really appreciate you having here. Mayor Mason, thank you for bringing all of our city friends. I tell you all the time that this relationship is unlike any that I've ever seen in my time in the Air Force. And commissioners and Derek and everybody, please enjoy this. You are absolutely part of this. Your city enables what we do here on the base. You welcome us into the community. You make us feel like we're at home. And I just can't say it enough. Thank you for everything that you do for us. To my brothers and sisters of Team Vance, thank you for all that you have done to enable this day for these young men and women. We all know that it wouldn't be possible without your efforts. I'd also like to welcome all of our fellow service members and veterans who have taken the time to set the example for these young men and women, but also to be here today to celebrate them. And you certainly deserve recognition for your service. Thank you. To the friends and families of this class, you've provided our graduates the principles, the moral compass, but most importantly, the work ethic to make it through this most challenging program. We have amazing instructors, but we couldn't do it with the foundation that you've instilled in these young men and women, and we really appreciate you being here to celebrate this day. I don't know what to do with my hands because this podium is so much taller than I'm used to. Mayor, we were talking last night about different podiums. Everyone's a different one. To provide you a little context, Vance is one of 4 bases in the United States Air Force who is charged with conducting undergraduate pilot training. And just for the record, we're going to go and get it straight, we're the best at it. We won't debate that. Our mission is to prepare and deliver highly qualified aviators to follow on training in a variety of aircraft in our Air Force and those of our partner nations. Vance has been doing this since 1941 and has delivered more than 38,000 world-class pilots. Those include 2 Medal of Honor recipients, a World War II P-51 ace, 7 astronauts, more than 200 general officers, including one to my left, also including the 15th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Richard Myers, and 2 notable first assignment instructor pilots, General Ronald Fogelman, who rose to be the Air Force Chief of Staff, and Colonel Eileen Collins, who became a Space Shuttle commander. Now, class, there should be no mistaking that you are graduating on sacred ground. Air Force heroes have walked these halls and have flown airplanes with VN on the tail flash. And I know that you will go on to make us just as Vance proud as they have. Now, in the seats next to you are airmen who have become friends. You've learned a lot. Hopefully you've had a little fun along the way. And in the end, you've made it here to become pilots in the United States Air Force. You've experienced the wonder of flight, and you now want to know what it means to take on a challenge and accomplish something extremely difficult. Most importantly, you understand the entire support system that it takes to get you in the air every single day. It goes beyond yourself, and it requires an entire team. Now, we're so close to the moment you've all been waiting for, and my favorite part of this job, but I have just a few additional thoughts for your consideration. We expect you to be competent, credible combat aviators, while also never forgetting the expectation to be competent, credible officers. You've learned a skill set which you will continue to refine with each one of your flights. Don't ever lose your love of aviation, but the charge ahead of you is to be the officer and aviator that our country needs. During your journey in the Air Force, your base of assignment will change, your aircraft may change, but the love of taking care of your fellow Air Force brothers and sisters will never change. Now today we're celebrating the folks in the front row, and there's quite a few of them today. But it takes a total team effort to get these students across the line, and I'm very proud of our collective effort that graduated this class. We pour a ton of resources into these young men and women, and in fact we invest well over $1 million into each of them to turn them into the next generation of Air Force leaders and aviators. However, money alone will not get them to the point. It takes a joint effort of over 2,600 airmen, government civilians, and contract partners that all make up Team Vance. Whether supporting, generating, or executing the flying mission, all have played a vital role in the graduation of this class today. Among this esteemed group, I'd like to single out 3 for recognition. Although they're the least represented here today because they're already back out on the flight line, we have the world's best instructor pilots, and they have poured their heart and soul into these young men and women to turn them into aviators and to get them to this point today. And as I said, they're already back out on the flight line, making sure that the next class will be ready in just a few weeks. So I'd like to offer a round of applause for our instructor pilots. The second group is our amazing group of professional mechanics. They maintain our aircraft and produce nearly 200 sorties every single day. And between our amazing students and our cadre, we're really good at breaking those airplanes. They have a full-time job. I'd just like to point out that our government civilians and our contract are a critical part of our mission, and they enable our nearly 200 sorties every single day. And they do an amazing job. Round of applause for them. And last but certainly not least is our amazing men and women who make up our support and medical groups. Our defenders, services, finance, MPF, dental, and flight medicine, just to name a few. The wings you are about to receive would not be possible without their support and dedication to our mission, and I know they're just as proud of you as we are. Graduates, on behalf of all of Team Vance, I want to say congratulations and welcome to the family of military aviators. It is now my privilege to introduce our guest speaker, retired General Texans. I always have to look at him. He is with was here last year as well, and there are a few things that he's going to look specifically at me in names of bases and making sure that I produce that last name, and we have to go over this. So, General Pexton is a native Bostonian and a graduate of ROTC at Tufts University. See a little Bostonian going here. 1 week after graduating from Tufts in June of 1966, he reported right here to duty at the 76th Pilot Training Squadron here at Vance in America. He received his wings with Class 67 Hotel 57 years ago this month. General Pexton is an experienced pilot and commander with more than 3,900 hours of flight time, with more than 600 hours of those in combat. He is the only Air Force officer to have flown fighter, bomber, and reconnaissance aircraft in combat during tours in Vietnam and the Gulf War. Now, sir, here's the part I gotta get right. During his 29-year career, he commanded the Warrior Preparation Center at Ramstein Air Base. I say Ramstein. I want to make sure I get it right. The 26th Reconnaissance Wings at Zweibrücken Air Base. The 52nd Fighter Wing at Spangalo. Got that one pretty close. And the 410th Bomb Wing at K.I. Sawyer Air Force Base in Michigan. Did I do okay, sir?
Very good.
All right. After his Air Force career, General Pexton spent 15 years in the defense industry as a subject matter expert on all of Air Force operations. Please join me in welcoming back one of our own family members, General Pexton, to the stage.
Make sure I'm on my script here, because if I can't find it, it's going to be a 2-hour lecture on Thucydides and the Peloponnesian War. Don't do that. But let me first of all say thank you, Colonel Throckmorton and Brooke. Thank you, Mayor Mason. It's great to see you again. Thank you for all you do in Eden. And thanks to all the staff here at Vance, including the pilots. But I want to say a special thank you to the family members who are here today. The parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, maybe even some kids, but I appreciate you're coming here today. And thank you for what you've done. You know, it wasn't long ago that these young people were going to their first day of school. And now they're almost at the end of school. So you did a great job. You contributed to America, and you are to be appreciated. And finally, Class 2511, good on you, especially those of you from Boston. Okay, so I graduated here a long time ago, Class 67H. Do the math. I'm 81 years old and still vertical, so that's all good. I spent 29 years in the Air Force, and you remember yourselves that I'd do it again in a flash. Some days were better than others. The days they were shooting at me were not the best, but other days in peacetime was terrific. Done 2 tours in Vietnam, one in the Desert Storm, 1,300 hours in the B-52, 2,300 hours in all models of the F-4. Let me take you back to 1967, just to put in perspective, and even the parents are too young to remember this, but they were born yet, so they can't remember it, but the political and military situation was old. Lyndon Johnson was president of the United States. Who remembers Lyndon Johnson? The Cold War was an existential threat to America. We had 700 B-52, and we flew around the world carrying nuclear weapons. I mean, those were scary times. We had 475,000 troops in Vietnam in 1967. And protests were growing. In a bit of deja vu recently, Israel smashed the Arabs in a 6-day war. You know, that's all 58 years ago, and they're back. Economically, it was a challenge. A second lieutenant made $299 a month, plus $100 a month flying. The minimum wage was $1.40 an hour. The average house price was $22,000. You can't buy a car for $22,000. Gas was 33 cents a gallon. I never had so much money in my life as I did the day I graduated. When I got married, of course, I had less money. Culturally, and I promised I'd talk about this, the first Super Bowl occurred. Kansas City, the Kansas City Chiefs, played the Green Bay Packers. Class 67H, we were war babies. Our parents, that war baby means we were born during World War II. It's hard to think of, so we don't really have another Generation X or Y. And nobody really calls us war babies, but we were war babies. So service was expected. It wasn't rare, such as it may be for you and your family. But in the day, everybody served. The Class 67 patch was remarkably ugly. It was a stein of beer with 2 afterburners. It was yellow. It was ugly. I want to see your squadron patch. I'm looking forward to seeing it, to see if there'll be a competition for the worst patch in history. Right now, 67H is in the lead. Our training, I started in ROTC at Norwood, for those of you who know Boston, flying the Piper 140 at 25 hours paid for by ROTC. Then I came here and flew the T-41 at Woodward, which was a lot of fun. T-37 Tweet here, we flew 92 hours in the Tweet. And then T-38, which probably you're still flying, the ones I flew, at 118 hours. So that meant that pilot training was a year long with 240 hours of flying, 50 hours in the Link Trainer, which was really just a step above an actual Link. We called it Link Trainer, and the syllabus was called the Link Trainer. It didn't have any of the modern technology that you guys didn't have today. We didn't have anything visual. It was really true technology and a procedure training. Graduation dining out was fun, but I don't remember much. I do remember that the guest speaker for my graduation was a guy named Roscoe Turner. Roscoe Turner was a barnstorming pilot in the 1930s. He flew around in an open cockpit with a baby lion. Picture that as not being good aviation. But, by the way, the words I say are entirely my own. Everybody told me to say them, so I can be politically incorrect if I want to, and I will tell you the story of graduating. Going through the receiving line with my new bride, who was dressed in 1960 style with long white gloves and a big updo, and a very nice dress. And we went through the line, and I met Roscoe Turner, and I introduced my wife, my brand new wife, and he shook my hand, and he looked at her, he looked at her gorgeous décolletage, and said, "What a set of wingtips." The world has perhaps changed. But that's the only thing I remember from graduation. In our class, 49 men received wings. We had 18 captains who'd mostly been navigators and aviation cadets, which is a program we don't have anymore. We had no academy grads because we were too early in June, and the academy didn't graduate until about the same time, and they were all on leave, so we had no academy grads in our class, and we had no women and no minorities, just because we didn't. That's how it went. Most served in Vietnam, but we lost none in combat. We did lose 5 in accidents. So you think 5 out of 49, that's a 10% rate. So it's not necessarily a safe job you're going to. But if you pay attention, and I know you will, you can make it safer. Our assignments were a bit bizarre. We had no frontline fighters. The frontline fighters in those days were F-101s, F-102s, 104s, 105s, 106s. We had hundreds of them. We had no assignments to top pilot, the best hands in our class got an F-100. We had 2 National Guard. I know we have lots of National Guard, you lucky devils. And these 2 guys, got RF-84s. I think Korean, but they had RF-84s, one in Michigan and one in Alabama. We considered them to be the luckiest people on the face of the earth. We were going to Vietnam, and they were going back to Michigan and Birmingham. We had very few fakes, so the majority had a choice. Back seat F4, back seat F4. We had pilots in back seat in the early F4 because the Air Force was afraid that the airplane would be too complex for the front seater. We needed help in the back seat, so we put pilots there. The pilots who went there were not happy, and soon the Air Force figured out that probably they could put navigators there and save the pilots for jobs they might actually like. And the other choice was to be B-52 co-pilots, right seaters. And of course, we had so many bombers that many of us took that job, and I took that job. Let me talk a little bit about what you have to do now. Life after your new wings. You're going to continue to need situational awareness about life. You're going to need situational awareness about rank, which is to say, don't use that in your sight picture. Don't think about rank. You need to think about flying. You need to want to finish your training, whether it's here or whether it's an FTU. You need to be mission ready when you get your operational squadron. You want to be the first one in your class to be mission ready. You want to be a flight leader. You want to fly as much as you can. You want to be an instructor. The long-term goal for 3 years out, you want to be in standardization evaluation. It marks you as a great pilot. If you do those things, you don't have to worry about rank. It will come. Don't think about rank. Don't focus on rank. Even if you went to the academy, don't think about rank. Think about flying. And I want you to do any flying there is. I want you to hang around ops. There are always flights that come up when nobody's looking and need to have a pilot. If you hang around ops, you can get one of those flights. The more flights you have, the better. You need to go to all the exercises. You need to volunteer. Some of you may have families. It may be your kid's first day of school. It may be a graduation. It may be a baptism. Whatever it is, you need to go to exercises. You need to go to weapons school when you're ready, and you need to volunteer for every deployment. I'll tell you one quick war story. When I was a wing commander at Spandau in Germany, we got deployed for the Gulf War. So I took 2 fighter squads and went off to war, left 1 squadron behind as I drove Brook with my wife in Germany with 2 squadrons gone. Every single person who deployed had volunteered to go. But their spouses caught my wife in Commissary BX and suggested that I had ordered their spouses to deploy to the Gulf. So I didn't. People I had were great people. They volunteered. My wife took the hit for me, and then all the folks who deployed were happy and I think properly rewarded. Your family. You have to adapt. It's not an easy life to be married in the Air Force. We did 21 PCSs in 29 years. In other words, permanent change of station. For the parents, that means we moved. We put all our stuff in boxes. The boxes were shaken up to 3,000 miles and poured out someplace at our new base. The downside of that was moving and new people. The good side of that is my kids, now grown adults, are very, very adaptable. Take them anywhere, put them in a strange group of people, and they'll be friends. So the advantage to your family is it's a different world. You have to adapt, but it can and it does work out. Finally, you have to pay attention to the other people around you, the non-rated, the people who are not pilots. You're at the leading edge. You will be at the leading edge. You have the toughest jobs, but you can't do those jobs except for support people all around you. many of whom wish they could have your job, but they don't. They hang in there anyway, and they sacrifice so that you could have a safe airplane to fly. Appreciate them, talk to them when you can, never talk down to them, and also be careful with your crew chief. Your crew chief is the man or woman who takes care of your plane and helps you get into it and starts your engines. You need, when you're done with the flight, to make a special thank you, to ask about the family, to ask about the airplane, reach out, don't just climb down the ladder and walk off to get an after-flight beer. Talk to your crew chief, appreciate them. When you go into personnel, thank the people there who are working in cubicles trying to get you the right assignments. So your real goal, and Colonel Throckmorton mentioned this, your real goal is to be combat ready. I don't know why we don't say combat ready more. We say mission ready. Our mission is combat. The mission of the Air Force is to kill people and break things. That's not politically correct to say. You won't find a senior leadership saying that in public with their name behind it. But I'm telling you, the reason we have an Air Force is to kill people and break things. And whatever you fly, whatever mission you fly, you will contribute to that. It'll be a Cold War, it'll be a hot war, it'll be peaceful. But that's what you train for. So your ultimate test, the ultimate test is to be in combat, that situation, do those combat roles. Your training, it will be a test of your training, your dedication, your skills, and your leadership. So what do these wins really mean? What they really mean is you are very highly trained. Colonel Throckmorton mentioned $1 million each already. The taxpayer has invested in making you combat ready. You are especially entrusted now and will be entrusted later with weapon systems worth millions, tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars entrusted to you. You take this $1 million baby out in the blue sky, you move and roll and fly around. We trust you to do that safely. And soon, many of you will have a license to kill. So I wish you all the best. Again, thanks to the families, the parents. Congratulations to Class 2511. Good luck and good hunting.
Thank you, General Excellence. Major Jack Meliska and Captain Logan Holmberg from Class 2511 would like to present you with a small token of appreciation for being part of this special occasion.
Not a bad looking patch. You win. Okay, marginal. By the way, I'm from Massachusetts. Woo! Red Sox fan. So thank you very much.
We will now recognize individuals who excelled in one or more phases of training. The new pilots competed for academic, leadership, and flying training awards, as well as the top wingman, distinguished graduate, and the coveted ATC Commander Trophy. Each phase of training was carefully weighed, and only a slight margin separated the top performers. Family and friends, please come down and take photos as your graduate receives their awards. Just please be mindful of our PA photographer, Sarah, in the back. She'll be taking official photos during this time. Colonel Zalombo will present the Academic Excellence Awards. The pilots whose overall academic test averages exceeded those of their peers. The recipient of the Academic Award for the T6 is First Lieutenant Ella Skinkis. recipient of the Academic Award for the T1 is Second Lieutenant Chris Carrasco.
Colonel Little will now present the Leadership Awards. The Leadership Award is presented to the officers who demonstrated outstanding leadership qualities and potential throughout this most rigorous and demanding military training program. The recipient of the Leadership Award for the T6 is Major Jack Nowiska. The recipient of the Leadership Award for the T1 is Captain Logan Olmer.
Colonel Bissonette will present the Flying Training Awards. The Flying Training Award is presented to the pilots whose daily flying performance and check ride scores exceed those of their peers. The recipient of the Flying Training Award for the T6 is First Lieutenant Finian Lowry. The recipient of the Flying Training Award for the T1 is Second Lieutenant Chris Carrasco. Colonel Throckmorton will present the Top Wingman Award. Selected by their peers, the Top Wingman Award is presented to the graduates who epitomize the support and teamwork critical to being a great wingman. The recipient of the Top Wingman Award for the T6 is First Lieutenant Brandon Garcia.
recipient of the Top Wingman Award for the T1 is Second Lieutenant Trevor Wesley.
Present distinguished graduates. To be selected for this honor, the student must maintain an exceptionally high average at all phases of training and finish in the top 10% of the class. The first distinguished graduate for T6 is First Lieutenant Vance.
I love holding them here because all they want to do is get on the stage.
The second distinguished graduate for the T6 is Second Lieutenant Joseph. Graduate of the T1 XPW class is Second Lieutenant Joseph.
Finally, the most prestigious trophy that Air Education and Training Command presents a pilot at graduation is the AETC Commander's Trophy. These pilots excelled in both flying and academics and demonstrated the initiative and leadership qualities essential to be professional Air Force officers. Additionally, they personify the tenets of the Order of the Medallions, a group dedicated to military aviation, personal integrity, and patriotism. General Texans will present the special award reserved for officers who attain the highest overall rating throughout their programs. The winner of the AETC Commander's Trophy for the T6 is Second Lieutenant Joseph Canton. The winner of the AETC Commander's Trophy for the T1 XPW class is Second Lieutenant Chris Grasser.
At this time, Colonel Throckmorton would like to recognize the instructor pilots from the 3rd and 8th Flying Training Squadrons, selected by Class 2511, who most embodied the Air Force core values during those T1 and T6 training, and provided exceptional mentorship and instruction. presents recipients with a plaque in recognition of their hard work. Receiving the award from the 3rd Flying Training Squadron, Captain Miguel Cruz. Receiving the award from the 8th Flying Training Squadron, Sea Flight, First Lieutenant Alex Day. Receiving the award for the 8th Flying Training Squadron D Flight, but unable to attend is First Lieutenant Chris Baker. Lieutenant Day will accept the award on his behalf. This concludes the award portion of the ceremony, and now the time we have all been waiting for. Colonel Throckmorton will formally present the diplomas and pilots to our graduates. As they exit the stage, they will receive a commemorative coin with their unique graduation number. From the 71st Student Squadron, First Sergeant, Master Sergeant Messina Campbell. The new pilots' families and friends are invited to put on the Air Force wings following the graduation ceremony.
Having completed the required course of training, the following officers from Class 2511 are awarded the aeronautical rating of Air Force Pilot. Major Jack P. Melissa.
Captain Logan A. Holmer.
Captain Rachel E. Coverless.
Captain David O. Nani.
We should have said this earlier, but please let the littles run around and have fun, and don't worry about the noise or anything else. That's the whole reason we're here, is for families.
Captain Nathan C. Pollard.
Captain Ahmad Syed.
First Lieutenant Stephen T. Fiardi.
First Lieutenant Timothy A. Parker.
First Lieutenant Ray E. Benson IV.
First Lieutenant Nicholas R. Carrier.
First Lieutenant Brandon E. Garcia.
First Lieutenant Jesse L. Jenkins.
First Lieutenant Spencer A. Johnson.
First Lieutenant Grace E. Jones.
First Lieutenant Finian T. Lattimore.
First Lieutenant Samuel R. Harwood.
First Lieutenant Adam J. Pelson.
First Lieutenant Ella I. Stevens.
You're getting shots of everybody.
First Lieutenant Tristan T. Sloan.
Second Lieutenant Dan N. Berger.
Second Lieutenant Jordan W. Black.
Second Lieutenant Robert T. Brooks.
Second Lieutenant Joseph D. Canty.
Second Lieutenant Murphy E. Gordon.
Second Lieutenant Jacob R. Vogel.
Second Lieutenant Lana N. Gasper.
Chris D. Graswell.
Second Lieutenant Calvin T. Day.
Second Lieutenant Carly J. East.
Second Lieutenant Maxwell T. Benavides.
Second Lieutenant Gabriel J. Newberry.
Second Lieutenant Hunter M. Newton.
Second Lieutenant Philip I. Garcia-Grosso.
Second Lieutenant Trevor J. Ressler.
Second Lieutenant Timothy W. Smith.
Second Lieutenant Thomas M. Stevens. To complete today's ceremony, Colonel Throckmorton will present Class of 2511.